Blue Origin New Glenn maiden flight, 2 moon landers on the way to the moon, Starbase update, Starship flight test number 7, ISRO get hooked, this week's rocket launch summary. I'm Christophe Paget from All About Space, and this is your space update. Blue Origin was established 24.5 years ago by the billionaire Jeff Bezos with the ambition to be a real player in the space industry. Blue Origin started designing and building the suborbital rocket New Shepard for space tourism, which has launched to date 28 rockets. Blue Origin grew his ambition to compete with the SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket back in 2013 and therefore started working on a bigger rocket, this time orbital, called New Glenn, named after John Glenn, the first American astronaut to orbit Earth. This rocket is 98 meter or 322 feet tall and 7 meter or 23 feet in diameter. The first stage has 7 BE-4 engines, same engines as on the first stage of the ULA Vulcan rocket. It is designed to be reusable and land on a drone ship as Falcon 9 first stage. Now, it runs on natural gas, a more carbon-intensive version of methane, and the second stage is powered by 2 BE-3U, a modified version seen on New Shepard, and that second stage is relatively large for second stages and can therefore go much further than more rockets without the need of in-space refueling. It can deliver in low Earth orbit a payload of 45 metric tons or 99,000 pounds, slightly less than a Falcon Heavy with its 2 side boosters and main stage recovered. On January 16th, Blue Origin flight tested its New Glenn rocket out of Launch Complex 36 in Cape Canaveral in Florida. The rocket took off at 0600 UTC from the thrust of its 7 BE-4 engines with a nominal ascent, passing maximum dynamic pressure up until stage separation at around 70 km or 44 miles altitude. Some couple of minutes later into the flight, the first stage did not manage to reach the drone ship and crash landed on water. Now, in contrast, it took 5.5 years for SpaceX to redesign and successfully land its first Falcon 9 first stage, so Blue Origin has enough time to better that time. Meanwhile, the second stage BE-3U engine successfully ignited and off it went into a medium Earth orbit in a highly elliptical orbit with an apogee of 19.3 thousand kilometers or 12,000 miles and a perigee of 2,400 kilometers or 1,500 miles at a 30-degree inclination. It took New Glenn a relatively short amount of time to reach this orbit and successfully released the tiny payload called Blue Ring Pathfinder, a kick stage capable of adding additional orbits whilst providing power to customer payloads. So that was a good day at the Blue Origin office. So well done, Blue Origin, for that major achievement. Firefly Aerospace has just launched a lunar lander, part of the Commercial Lunar Payload Services program for NASA. The lunar lander is now orbiting around Earth for the next 25 days, each time getting closer to the moon. On the same transport, by the way provided by SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, the private Japanese company iSpace has also launched its second lunar lander called Hakuto R Mission 2 or Resilience. The previous lander, Hakuto R Mission 1, failed to reach the moon back in April 2023 after a 5-month journey in space due to a faulty altimeter, which in turn caused the craft to hover at 5-kilometer altitude above the lunar surface until the fuel was depleted, resulting in its crash. The craft, Hakuto R Mission 2, will take longer to reach the moon due to its design to conserve fuel. I will keep you updated on any developments. At Starbase launch site, The week was really focused on preparing the booster number 14 and Starship number 33 for their flight test number 7. The two stages have been stacked up and undergone the wet dress rehearsal. Then, Starship number 33 was destacked and even restacked, ready for the flight tests, which occurred on January the 16th. It is the first time that we see the catch pin on Starship, not to be used this time around, but expected to be used to catch the Starship number 34 during flight test number 8, according to Elon Musk. At the production site, the Starship number 34 has been rolled out to the Massey site to start a cryogenic test campaign ahead of his flight test number 8. Now, going back to the flight test number 7, the rocket took off from Starbase in Texas on January the 16th, 22:37 UTC, with a flight profile similar to that of the previous flights. Now, all 33 booster engines propelled the rocket over the Atlantic Ocean, going through the highest dynamic pressure and a hot stage separation occurring some 2 minutes 40 seconds later. The first stage did a boost back burn and was cruising back to Starbase. 6 minutes 55 seconds later, the Mechazilla arms caught successfully the Booster 14 in midair, making the second successful catch of the world's biggest rocket in history. Compared to Booster 12, being the first booster catch back on November 19th last year, this booster has survived the re-entry heat, where the engine bells seem to have remained intact and no fire was seen at landing. Another astronomical achievement by SpaceX, and while all this was happening, the second stage was cruising towards the Indian Ocean, but unfortunately never reached the intended altitude of 200 kilometers or 125 miles. And indeed, the Starship exploded at the time of engine ignition and was seen in pieces re entering the Earth's atmosphere. No payload door and simulated Starlink satellites were released, and the improvements on the heat protection system could not be verified. So SpaceX is already capturing learnings and will attempt another flight test around next month. RFA has just managed to receive the Spaceflight Operator license by the UK CAA. This makes RFA the first European company to receive regulatory approval for orbital rocket launches from mainland Europe. The license is said not limited in time and covers a wide range of orbits and trajectories. Therefore, it is now the third and last key regulatory authorization required for RFA to launch his RFA-1 test flight in 2025 from Saxonwold Spaceport. Now, I look forward to covering that flight with you. ISRO has sent two crafts into space some weeks ago to emulate in-space docking for de-risking its future spacecraft and station design. Now, these two crafts have now completed their task and demonstrated successfully the ISRO design, so well done ISRO. January 10th, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 from California for the mission Enroll 153. The first stage flew for the 22nd time and landed on a drone ship. On the same day, SpaceX launched another Falcon 9 from Florida for the Starlink mission group 1212. The first stage flew for the 25th time and landed on a drone ship, another record for reusability. Now look at the suit on the rocket skin, an amazing achievement. This solidifies that reusability can be factored in a manufacturer's business case to be competitive. January 13th, China Rocket Company launched a Smart Dragon 3 for its mission Senti Space 1 from Chinese water. On the same day, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 from Florida for a Starlink mission Group 12-4. The first stage flew for the 15th time and landed on a drone ship. January 14th, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 for its rideshare mission Transporter 12 from California. The first stage flew for its second time and landed back to site. January 15th, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 from Florida for its moon mission with two lunar landers, Blue Ghost from Firefly and Hakuto RM2 or Resilience from iSpace. The first stage flew for the 5th time and landed on a drone ship. January 16th, Blue Origin launched his New Glenn rocket for his inaugural flight, which was discussed earlier in this video. Later on, SpaceX launched a Starship rocket from Texas for his flight test number 7, also discussed earlier. The second stage exploded 8 minutes into the flight. In summary, from January 1st until January 16th, 2025, 11 rockets were launched successfully. Out of that, 9 were from an American company or institution and 2 from China. I leave you this week with this fireworks display composed by Chandra X-ray and James Webb Space telescopes of the star cluster NGC 602 on the outskirts of the small Magellanic Cloud, about 200,000 light-years away from us. Now, this galaxy looks like a younger version of our Milky Way, with stars indicative of those found billions of years ago, according to NASA scientists. The dark ring-like outline of this reef-looking galaxy, seen in orange, yellow, green, and even blue, is made up of dense clouds of dust coming from the James Webb Space Telescope. The more reddish colors coming from the Chandra X-ray show young, massive stars that are illuminating the reef, sending high-energy light into interstellar space. I'm Christophe Paget for All About Space. See you at the next episode of Space News.